Primary ignition.
This is Star Wars.
Look out!
Core World News.
You may fire when ready.
From the bright center of the galaxy, I'm Grace Kondak, and you're listening to Core World News, your online news service providing in-depth coverage of all the latest stories from around the galaxy. Now, your news segment rundown for March 11th, 2022. Reading Raptor. But first, this news.
All right, thank you very much, Rex. Welcome, everyone, to another week of Core World News. Happy to have you all here. Big episode this week. We're going to cover two High Republic books. And, of course, we have the Obi-Wan Kenobi teaser trailer.
Okay.
Yeah.
This clearly is going to be an epic show. It's
Yeah.
I mean, you're gonna watch Rogue One. You're gonna watch this and then Rogue One and then A New Hope from now on, just to kind of start your journey into the films. Duel of the Fates is a wild choice, and I didn't see a lot of like saber combat that's sort of like calls for that specific track, but I'm now expecting there to be big fights with the Inquisitors, big fights with Vader, just by using Duel of the Fates. Because first time we heard that music was, when we saw the.
I mean, it's the only time we see it or hear it is during those epic lightsaber battles. So we expect that. This is not the show I was expecting, but it looks amazing.
My first thought was it was like a lot higher production value than I expected.
Yeah.
And I don't know if maybe it's too early. I think it might have been Duel of the Fates just sounding amazing. And because it's instant gravitas when you hear that music, but like it looks like a lot higher production value to me than like Boba Fett.
Going to a new planet, we know that. We see Fortress Inquisitorius, we know that location, which is on, I guess, a moon of Mustafar. So we're going there, seeing that world. It looks like this actually travels. It looks like we're with the bad guys and Obi-Wan. So it looks.
But even like the starship, like the looking down on the starship shot, like that. I don't know. It looked. It felt like you said, Grant, like a theatrical, like release, and maybe it will be. I mean, that's best case scenario, right? Is like we get 6-hour long episodes, and it's just like,
So I think that's what we're starting to learn is that every season of a show, I'm guessing, gets pretty much the same budget.
Yeah.
And I think we're seeing this with the Marvel shows as well. And what they can negotiate is you can use that budget however you want. You can either go 6 episodes or 8 episodes or 9 episodes, right? And I think what happens is that Obi-Wan's like, we're going to do less episodes, but be able to roll that into the production value, right? Because it does look, it looks more cinematic. And again, I'm always impressed with Mandalorian, but this looks like the Star Wars movie.
Yeah, and the Inquisitor, we see some lightsabers ignite. I expect there's going to be a big fight on Tatooine, probably a big fight, on this planet where we see.
Sure looks like
that is Obi-Wan, I think, firing the blaster at the end, right, hiding behind the Jedi.
Yeah, I didn't think so, but after watching it a few times, I think you're right. Like, I think after like my third watch, I'm like, I think you're right. I think that is Obi-Wan. I think we're gonna get Obi-Wan on. I mean, whatever, but I love the neon signs. It's very Blade Runner-esque, this whole scene.
Obi-Wan fits in that setting, though, just because he is kind of metropolitan and has hung out in the kind of dense urban capitals of the Republic.
I mean, 100% chance we see him go to a bar.
Right? Yeah.
I think he has to go to a bar.
But I mean, remember, like it looks very noir-like, neo-noir, right? Yeah. In that location, and we've seen Obi-Wan in a neo-noir movie, right? One third of episode 2 is a noir movie.
It also looks like we see Obi-Wan in sort of refugee status, like him taking the bus and just looking disheveled and, just carting around Tatooine as like an average Joe. And like, what's that like for Obi-Wan Kenobi? Like, I think that's going to be so gripping because Ewan's going to play it beautifully, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
it does seem like
I
a
agree.
vagabond or something traveling, just trying to be, unidentified and inconspicuous.
Yeah.
Which makes sense why he's using a blaster, right? Because he cannot use that lightsaber. He can't identify as a Jedi, so he actually has to
So this is what you guys just said, is you think that blaster is
Yeah.
Obi-Wan?
Yeah, I watched it a couple more times as just now. It's definitely it.
It's
Not
definitely-
definitely. I really do think it's him. It looks like
'Cause-
him the way he flips his hair back.
I don't know. So I was chatting with Casual Jason on Discord today, and he raised the point. He's like, "What's the chance we see Cal Kestis in Obi-Wan?"
Oh,
For
interesting.
those of you
I'd say
that like-
pretty high, given we see there's like some serious Inquisitor bloat
Yeah,
in this
I didn't
trailer.
think of
where
that.
I was like,
That's a good.
I was worried
call.
about this. I was worried about a lot of Inquisitors in this story because I always thought they sort of, I don't know, they rupture the power balance of the original trilogy, where you feel like Vader might be the only guy who's kind of like this dark lord figure.
Well, I think by A New Hope he is.
Right, he
I think
is,
they all
yeah.
die. I think
Yeah.
during the comics, right, we see the end of the Inquisitorius,
I think the
or at least by the
untold-
end of Rebels. We see.
Yeah.
some-
I think the untold story that we're gonna get, which we got a little bit in the Darth Vader comic, and maybe this is how they give us a Vader show, which I'm not necessarily asking for, is that I think eventually the power vacuum is that he just goes out and takes care of any of the Inquisitors left over. Like once they have done their job, once they have gotten rid of all remaining Jedi, the next step is to then get rid of all the Inquisitorius.
Wait, you think Vader kills the
Yeah.
Inquisitorius?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
wow.
do. I think at the end, I think that's the next step, right? Is that you consolidate power. So you
Yeah.
use them as tools to hunt all the Jedi, and once all the Jedi are hunted, you get rid of all the
I wonder if
Inquisitorius.
that will be
That's
featured in
something
the
serious
show,
with-
because that's an interesting plot too. Like maybe some of these Inquisitors discover Obi-Wan, and Vader gets upset about that and takes them all out or something, like out of just sheer rage. I don't know.
Well, so that's what Casual Jason and I were talking about. Fallen Order 2 is coming out relatively soon. Could be the end of this year, beginning of next. And like, what's the plot going to be? Because they're no longer trying to restart the Jedi Order. It makes a lot of sense to have them hunt the hunters, like actually hunt the Inquisitorius.
Yeah.
I feel like Obi is savvy enough to open up communications with Bail or people like other Jedi. Like I feel like in this show you're gonna see he does send like Morse code to like other Jedi. Like he is at the end of this show, I think, able to communicate with other Jedi, and that gives him an opening into Fallen Order 2, like into that game. If
wow.
Cal wants to get missions from Obi-Wan or whatever.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
that's pretty
interesting.
interesting. I like that.
I didn't think about that, but that would make sense.
Anyways, this is a long way to say there is one Jedi that uses a blaster in Fallen Order, and it's Sarah Junda. I think she does live through the first one, right? Just barely. She survives her attack with Vader. So
I mean,
yeah, but
that's
she
true.
says a blaster is just fine with me. I played the game today, and she said it in one of the like hyperspace cutscenes, and it was really cool.
Yeah, definitely. She would have to have grown hair much like Obi-Wan's hair to be
okay. All
that
right,
character.
Okay. I only really saw the blaster. I didn't in a cloak. That's all I sort of saw. I remember seeing.
Well, when you see it, you actually see a character whip their hair back in a way that looks like very
like
fine,
a mullet?
like an Obi-Wan mullet, but
like exactly like an Obi-Wan mullet. All
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we're bearing the lead here, guys, because this is mullet Obi-Wan. Like we are getting neo-noir sleuth Obi-Wan.
Right, the best Obi-Wan is mullet Obi-Wan.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
It is gonna be great, man.
So the other thing is that we see Luke. We assume. I mean, it's definitely Luke, right?
It's definitely Luke.
It's definitely Luke.
Dude, you mean Luke? Yeah, you see Luke in this trailer. Yeah, there's no
in the trailer. Just like here's Luke.
There's no
here's Luke.
else that kid could be.
Which is my favorite thing, because that means we're going to see so much more that we're not ready to see. Like we're gonna get the Emperor. We're gonna get Yoda. We're gonna get all of this. Because they're showing us Luke. Yeah, the Qui-Gon for sure.
I do have a feeling the Emperor will be in this show.
Yeah,
Weirdly enough.
100%. Yeah, you're at least one scene. We'll at least get a scene.
I think Obi-Wan's tied to the Emperor in a really like deep. That's important.
I would go the other way on it. I think because we don't see the Emperor in A New Hope, and it's trying to sort of reset that. And we're just focused on the Inquisitorius. Oh, also
I made
from
the
Fallen
call
Order,
on the huts, guys. I made the call on the huts, and that turned out.
You did.
Yeah, but then
nothing can take that away from you.
But then Ben made every call every episode afterwards.
That's true.
Ben was like the Boba Fett whisperer.
That was a hot streak for a minute there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. It was just a hot streak. But we did get we got the Inquisitorius underwater castle.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. We saw that in Fallen Order.
Yeah.
That was cool. I'm excited about this, man. I know it was a lot of Inquisitors, but like now I'm in. It makes more sense. It's like, all right, especially since it's not the Grand Inquisitor who's chasing Obi-Wan. Like he's still doing his thing in his castle, and then we've got this new character who's on the ground, and it's weird. We don't see her in a helmet ever in the trailer, but I'm sure she'll the first time we see her, we'll see her in a cool helmet. But I don't know who this Inquisitor is, and I don't know that she has a spinny lightsaber either. So maybe she's like an apprentice or something, or an up and coming, or will open up a whole new world. But I'm excited about her character already, and I haven't heard her say a word. And I love the Inquisitors, the Grand Inquisitors VO. Actually, I thought that was really cool.
Yep, I love that. I love the idea of like the musings on how to draw Jedi out. Right, like I thought that was fun. My general reaction is, if this trailer had come out before I saw Book of Boba Fett, I would have been more down on it because it was a lot more traveling than I would have been expecting. Right. After Boba Fett, I'm okay with a bit of a travelogue show.
Yeah,
because
I almost would have thought these would have switched places.
100%.
Boba Fett goes to the neon-drenched, Outer Rim worlds, and Obi-Wan stays on Tatooine, sort of being more ponderous and exploring. Obi-Wan just, his ability to stay in hiding and whatnot, survival.
Yeah. I'm so high on this show, guys. I think it looks really
looks amazing. Yeah. No, I mean, here's the thing. It was a low bar to clear because in an Obi-Wan trailer, you're going to get Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan in your trailer, and the second that happens,
and this was the teaser.
I am 100% on board.
This is the teaser.
Oh, right. This is the teaser.
Right. So I mean, like a teaser for me would have just been like Ewan and no like voiceover and like that's it, or just like a slow like pan across the like Dune Sea, and then like you finally 30 seconds into it get to Obi-Wan, and like that's it. Yeah. No, like that's a teaser, and that would have been enough. Like seeing Ewan as Obi-Wan would have been enough for me. But this is like, and there's Luke Skywalker too, in case you're wondering.
You get Owen too. A lot of Owen.
Lots of Owen. Yeah.
A lot of Owen. And actually, I don't know how much. If you read that Vanity Fair article, they seem to get the premiere again. And Deborah Chow said, "I can't say much. I'm just gonna say thank you, George Lucas, for casting Joel Edgerton as Owen."
Yeah.
Because she was like, "Oh, you can act. You got a role, buddy." Like she gave him a role. I'm expecting a lot from him.
That's a character you can do a lot with because he's actually really great in A New Hope. Like Owen Lars is a fantastic sort of like, stringent, farmer dad.
I think we're going to get what they sort of hinted at in the from a certain point of view thing where he's kind of at odds with Ben Kenobi, and he's just like, you need to leave. Like you bring trouble, go away. Yeah. And that sort of and yet Obi-Wan obviously can't.
Owen Lars, playable hero in the next Battlefront game.
Diplomacy.
But knowing that we're going to see Luke,
get off my moisture farm.
Yeah.
It'd also be nice to see some, like parental moments between Owen and Luke, right? Like maybe we'll actually get a bit of a like, oh, he's actually a good dad.
We didn't realize how much influence Owen had on Luke Skywalker and how that kept him human and morally, upstanding.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, we have a lot to get to today, so why don't we call that? We're going to talk a lot more about Obi-Wan in the future. This thing was great. I mean, we could talk about the Grand Inquisitor's head. Anyone want to take that real quick or no?
I'll just leave it at there's a lot of Inquisitors in this trailer. I almost saw more Inquisitorius than I saw Obi-Wan Kenobi, which I don't know if that's the move, but if they're confident in what they're doing, I'm excited to see what it is.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna go. Oh, sorry, Adam.
No, I was gonna say two things real quick. I did enjoy the person, in Grand Inquisitor's voiceover quite a bit. So maybe part of it is that you cast the role based on the ability to act, not how much they look like the character.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll get it. The second thing I'll say is I was not the biggest Cad Bane fan in the world, as we talked about, and I was highly impressed with what they were able to do when they brought him to live action. So maybe the same thing will happen to Grand Inquisitor.
Right. Yeah. Our Star Wars, there's a lot of crying about, characters in live action not looking like the cartoons. And okay, cool, fine. To me, it's just like, yes, they don't look exactly the same. The end.
Yeah.
But it's the same character. You got to use your imagination. They're different media. I think I'm totally okay with it. But like I said, so totally high on this thing. I think everyone's going to be super pleased with it when we finally get it.
Take a look, it's in a book.
Reading Rat Talk. Reading Rat Talk.
All right, we promised you some High Republic novels, and we will deliver here. We're going to cover two here. Junior novel, Mission to Disaster, we're going to cover first. This is by Justina Ireland. And then we're going to do Midnight Horizon, which is a young adult novel by Daniel José Older. So a little different format this time. I'm just gonna drop a summary of what happened in the book first. So if you're just here to a lot of people don't want to read junior novels if they don't have kids and they're like grown adults, and that's what we're here for. We'll read it for you and you can listen to it. I do suggest reading them. They're fantastic, and they give you a lot of insight, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But so I'm just going to lay this on you real quick. This is Justina Ireland's Mission to Disaster. It starts with a young Avon Staros. Begins his tale with a science experiment creating synthetic kyber crystals. Before she can do her first test, however, she's abducted by the Nihil to an unknown planet. Vernesta Rowe and Imri Kantaros are dispatched to investigate their friend's abduction. Avon flourishes while in captivity, flexing her nerdiness to gain favor from the Nihil, and eventually earning an assistant's position under one of the Nihil's most evil scientists. Vern and Imri's investigation takes them to the planet Dalva, which it turns out that's where Avon was the whole time, who have missing children of their own. Dalva does. Our two heroes team up with the local Jedi and our old friend Harmony and discover the Nihil's sinister plan. With Avon's help synthesizing volatile crystals, the Nihil's evil doctor agitates Dalva's fault line enough to slowly destroy the planet. Imri flies to Starlight Beacon for help and ends up towing the whole space station of Starlight Beacon to Dalbo in time to evacuate the planet before destruction. The end. So that's the skeleton of what goes on in this book, but there's a lot of very other interesting things. But pretty much that's what happens. Would you agree? Anything?
Yeah.
Oh,
that
yeah.
was awesome.
Summation.
Well done. Yeah. Thank you for doing that. That was spot on. Mission Disaster, any highlights here? I mean, pretty great characters. I love Vernesta Rowe. Yeah.
She's definitely one of my faves. And Imri Kantaros is getting up there with me as well. What do you guys think? Any favorite character highlights here?
You get more Avar Chris in this book. You get you get a lot of Vernesta Rowe. I love the characters in this book particularly. And Vernesta Rowe is my favorite character in all of the High Republic, to tell you the truth. And Staros is fun, just a great character to follow.
Yeah,
I just love that character.
They have a lot
the
of
whole Staros family. I'm super compelled by. I don't know why we don't have a Disney Plus show that's like the Staros show.
And we'll talk about this when we get to kind of like it, the way these books interconnect. But Avon is I just love that character. I think it's so much fun, especially when you pair her with J6, her droid. It's so much
J6
fun.
Is great. Yeah,
but
so
when
J6 is actually too human, is like a too human droid.
Yeah,
exactly.
And Avon is among a group of very smart children, she's the smartest. She's smarter than most adults. So it's like an interesting duo.
And I appreciate that her smarts get in her way, right? Like that she is like a lot of stuff she does actually ends up assisting the Nihil indirectly, right? Like I think it's and it leads to this beautiful moment at the end of kind of a discussion about how much responsibility one bears in that case. But I think when you connect this to the other books, and they talk about it in this book, but Avon's mother, is it Giron? No, what's her name?
Jira Staros?
Jira Staros is like one of the major villains of the entire phase.
Yeah.
Right. So we kind of did this backwards.
You would find out she's working with the Eye of the Nile, Martian Rowe.
I mean, I've never heard it called working with.
Like
she's
working.
Yeah. I mean, we kind of did this backwards, right? Like a couple weeks ago, we did The Fallen Star, with Claudia Grace, which was fantastic.
We didn't do it backwards. They did it backwards. This book was actually released after that book, but anyway.
Oh, was it really? Because I think one of these was released in January.
Oh, maybe I'm wrong.
It might have been this one, because this one
it was.
We don't
redacted.
Redacted. Thank you.
Sorry, Star Wars. You're right. I'm wrong. You're perfect.
Track that.
Yeah. So, oops, we haven't read this for months, but we did have a whole lot of Boba Fett on our hands. So that's kind of what we're doing. So we're catching up now, and I'm really enjoying reading all this High Republic stuff, because now we're synthesizing all the events that happen leading up to Fallen Star.
Yeah. Agreed. But so you're right. We did it backwards.
Honesty weft. Wefts.
The wefts.
Wefts. How would you? Yeah. Wefts.
The other thing to talk about is that, like, these are the level at which they're written, and we've talked about, like, what's the difference between a junior novel, a young adult, an adult novel, and it's really just the writing depth, right? And they do deal with more adult or less adult, but I would say they deal with really complex issues in all of these. I mean, at the crux of this entire book are conscripted child soldiers. Yeah.
I really didn't think they were going that way even when it happened. I thought they knew that, like, that Avon was Gira's, like, daughter, and these were all the kids that were like, children of people who were faithful to the Nihil or something like that. But no, they're just like, nope, you're meat.
Yep.
Yeah, and there's always a lot of, which I really appreciate, like, cognitive, like, healthy conversation and dialogue and stuff. I mean, this is definitely something you'd want to read to your kids, because it's always a very positive, people interact in a very positive way, and that's very cool. But for dorks like me, I'm like, wait, is that Diva Lompop? And sure enough, the ancient boogeyman Diva Lompop is in this.
Yeah, if listeners and readers of the comics will recall, she was pretty prominent in the War of the Bounty Hunters series in the Marvel Comics, where they had those standalone, like, she showed up in all the standalone comics, right? Where you had the one issue about Forlom and Zuckuss, another issue about, was it Boosh, IG-88, I think, and Jabba the Hutt? Were those the four, I think?
Yeah, she was there. She was a primary antagonist for Boba Fett. Yeah. She's tough. She's tough. I love that character, and it was cool to see her here, even though she's really just kind of teased. But they definitely teased the fact that she eats whole.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad we didn't see that, but it was pretty great that she was in.
Yeah, she's a Shawnee bounty hunter, and apparently very old.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. And this is this the first time we see her in the High Republic era? I can't remember.
Yes, I believe so.
I believe so too, because it's interesting too, because again, when we see her during the Rebellion era, she's just a bounty hunter, but at this part, she seems like she's part of the Nihil, right? She's serving under was it Cara Zoo?
Yep.
Cara
Zoo. Yeah, which that name sounds familiar to me too. A Quarren, lead the Quarren Tempest. I think we might have seen her in an earlier book, sort of at like a Tempest meeting or something like that, or a
storm meeting in she was out of a couple of things. A Test of Courage, Out of the Shadows. She was in, but I think just kind of briefly.
Right. And then we've got Imri, who's kind of fascinating. His his force ability is to chill people out. He can just like instantly just like chill people out with a touch, which is really dangerous. Like, it's kind of a gross skill. It's just like, oh, how you're feeling, you feel different now. Like, and it can be very unsettling for the person if they're not expecting it. Or if they suddenly notice it. It's like, wait, why do I feel good all of a sudden?
Yeah. It's similar powers to Empath from the X-Men comics, the Hellions.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, it's probably where that came from.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so I have this theory of where this is going now with the Nihil. I might save it for the next book, but it's just like, I don't know. They talk about it a little bit here. They talk about lightsabers again. This is one thing they keep touching on in all these books is sort of like, well, so you're peacekeepers, but you keep these deadly light sticks.
Yeah.
Wait, so when do you stop defending and start aggressing? Right?
Yeah.
And I'm a little curious. I'm just going to say I'm a little curious if that is the whole point of what the Eye's trying to do here is to turn them into the aggressors. And if he will win as soon as he gets, this division where they're like, no, we defend, and another group that's like, no, we fight.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he's trying to sow division in the ranks of the Jedi, right? I think he's trying to create a wedge between factions or create factions.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting, especially because I think people shy away from the junior novel and the young adult novels, but I feel like after reading these two, I have, similar to you, but I have more of an idea of where the series is going than when I finished the last main adult novel. And that's not, I think,
Fallen Star.
Fallen Star. I feel like Fallen Star was a great book, but it was so focused on the disaster surrounding Starlight Beacon and those characters that at times it didn't really address the larger galactic plan. And I feel like this, and especially Midnight Horizon, which we'll talk about shortly, I have a lot more questions or a lot more thoughts about where this might be going.
Yeah, with all the horrific dark stuff that the Jedi keep uncovering, I do like the idea that they're trying to break the Nihil, trying to break their spirit, and in so doing, like, have a few fall, like several maybe fall to the dark side.
Yeah.
And I think when you read in Dooku Jedi Lost, I think they even mentioned some Jedi who had fallen from the High Republic era. And so I think we're going to get like several Jedi that will be totally broken at some point in this storyline. And I guess fall.
Yeah.
Whatever that means, be like totally darksiders at that point. I don't know what that means.
Yeah. Do they just leave or do they turn dark side, right?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
I mean, yeah. Is this, I mean, I'm not trying to rush this along, but is this a pretty natural transition point to Midnight Horizon? Or do we have more we want to talk about?
That's pretty much it. Yeah, I mean, I've got a bunch of
Do you have a gorgeous summary for Midnight Horizon, Ben, as well?
I do.
Or Ben or Adam, do you want to lead in with something?
No.
All right. Yeah, no, let's move forward, and then we can always sort of talk about other things on that one if we want.
Yeah, we'll go back and forth.
I don't know how gorgeous this is. This is a full like 750-page novel, young adult. Daniel José Older did a fantastic job with this. And it's an exciting novel. So here we go. This is what happened in Midnight Horizon. Supreme security owner Alice Ongwa, also known as Crash, dispatched a Grindelid, which is like the underground dwelling worms from Solo. And actually, we meet that one. Proxy or whatever. Preox.
Lady Proxima.
Lady Proxima. Proxima is actually in this book. All right. So a Grindelid named Pride Bolt out on a routine security mission following Father of Finance Nomar Trelmet to a meeting in his jurisdiction of Coronet City, Corellia. It turned out not to be routine, and Nomar, Pride Bolt, and Pride Bolt's co-security officer, Ovart Bitlow Bash, were all attacked by the Nihil leader, led by a familiar Erkeet named Sabata Krill, and were apparently killed. The report of Nihil activity on Corellia attracted the attention of the Jedi on Starlight Beacon and Jedi Masters Comac Vetus, Cantum Sai, and Padawans Reeth Silas and Ron Jamaron, who's the apprentice to Kinpar Vasilova, in case anyone cares, are called in to investigate. While the older Jedi check in with the local government, Crash enlists the help of Reeth and Ram to infiltrate Coronet's underbelly and investigate the mysterious goings-on surrounding the attack that killed her employees. The Masters confide in each other that they have been struggling with the new mission of the Order, and Cantum Sai tells a long tale of his younger days leaving the Order and Master Yoda to join a traveling circus of love. These two ultimately discover that the local ComSec has been compromised by the Nihil in Coronet City, and they plan to abscond with a couple new ships from the shipyard. Meanwhile, the kids call in help in the form of Zine and create the musical sensation Ms. Z to gain access to a powerful meeting wherein is revealed that Trimolt wasn't really killed. He was using the Nihil to gain leverage and overthrow the local government. Ultimately, Crash rallies all of her contacts within the city to stop the Nihil from taking the ships and using them as cover to cause more damage to the falling Starlight Beacon, which that happens in this book. It's a desperate attempt, and the defenders were almost overrun, but just when all looked lost, Yoda returned from his unknown quest to turn the tide and save the day. Again, kind of wordy. Hopefully people are still awake there. But if you're wondering what happens in the book, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, no, good job. It is.
That was great.
Yeah, I was impressed.
Corellia, you said that right? Yeah,
yeah.
I love that we go to Corellia in this book.
Corellia, we get some of the white worms.
Yeah, vintage Corellia. We get to go to the shipyards. There's an Anzellan like master shipbuilder, which is the same species as Babu Frick. Rom Gemeron really prominent in this book, and he's amazing. And also, as I teased in on the Instagram this week, we get the origin of the word wizard. The term wizard comes from
Sure do.
He started it 200 years before Phantom Menace.
Yeah. Which I love. I love that idea of that, just like, because there's a joke, and I can't remember exactly how it's phrased, but it's just like he had some long explanation. And he's like, I just made it up. I thought it sounded cool. And then it just took root.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you keep saying it, and sooner or later it's going to happen. And I mean that. Yeah. But the Din Djarin saying wizard was like made my 2022 pretty much when he said that.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. All-time great.
So other, what do you all think about Crash being a 17-year-old running a security company?
Yeah. That character was standout. I feel like everything on Corellia was awesome. All the characters on Corellia were incredible. That was my favorite part of the story, was just seeing those characters.
Meaning like her team?
Yeah, the whole team, honestly. Like that team was, I'm trying to get my notes up for that team, but that was cool. That whole plot in the beginning was very cool too. There's some great ones there. There's I put it all in our Discord just because I don't know why I'm just like a nerd like that. Yeah. And they had just had some great creatures in this book. He really had some fantastic pulls that I didn't expect. But one was a Savrip, which is like, it's a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Is like,
oh right.
Oh yeah.
It's like a deep cut from a game, and he was like, nope, that's going to be on your team. Like she had a lot of heavies on her team.
Yeah.
There was what's those other ones called? The big ones with the horns. Marler, the guy who was the pilot.
Oh, what are those? What are they called? Is the one from
Grant? I know you know this.
Is the one from Force Awakens too?
Yeah,
the pilot one.
No, in Force Awakens, it's that big dude with like the horns and that assassin.
And in Maz's castle.
Yeah.
There's one of those.
Yeah,
I never think of their names. Yeah.
Of course, I knew that one, so I didn't put it in here. But that, and then there's an Arcona, which is like a really cool. I think they were first seen probably in A New Hope. But the depth to the characters that are on the team, they aren't just like cannon fodder and they're like, yeah, let's go. Like the main characters have meaningful conversations with all of these team members, and they're fascinating in their own ways. Yeah. And, I don't know. I just there was a lot of depth there that I appreciated and enjoyed.
Yeah, and there was a really, I mean, it was gruesome. See, literally talk about brains being on the outside of a person's skull.
Yeah,
but
it's a crazy character.
It is, but and when we get towards the end and Crash is seeing the death surrounding her, there's just a really well written section about her realizing the fragility of life, right? Like it was just it's such that kind of leads to that. the other thing I wanted to mention real quick, as a side note, is that Crash's real name is Alice. Was it Ongwa?
Alice Ongwa, yeah.
If that sounds at all familiar, it's because Older, the author, created this as a tribute to Alyssa Wong, who writes for Dr. Aphra right now. So it's a Tuckerization of her name.
Yeah.
And it based her and her occupation on Wong's answer when Jose Alder basically asked Wong, "What would you like to be if you were ever to be in the Star Wars universe? What would you be?" And this was her answer, and so he used this to kind of create this character.
No way.
Yeah,
a droid 10 Kate too.
Yeah, the droid is super cute. It's super cool. Yeah.
10 Kate was fun. It was just fun how she used her team and like organized the whole thing and had them there. But yeah, I mean, again, grief was like the overall thing. It was like she lost one of her, two of her members, but one of her best friends in the first, chapter of this book. And she's grieving for them visibly through the whole book, which I think is more realistic and refreshing a little bit. But that's her motivation through this whole thing.
Yeah. And then there's a lot of characters and a lot going on in this. And the other thing to mention is that, I think 2 weeks ago we covered the High Republic Adventures, the last arc of the High Republic Adventures.
Yeah.
And this book covers a lot of the same territory. Yeah. Was it last week?
It was last week, yeah.
Wow, I can't keep track. It covers a lot of the same territory, right? Like there's scenes that are told again in this, but continues the story forward, and we'll talk about that there. But they also, as you mentioned, brought in, Ram Jamaran, who's awesome, but also Reith Silas.
Yeah.
Who we've seen before, and their friendship was so much fun
too.
Yeah, Comas Vitus.
Yeah.
Cantam Sign.
That character's Vitus.
Sorry, what were you saying, Grant?
I love that character. I think he's just such a wise, kind of comes to this right conclusion every time. He's just not the loudest voice in the room usually, at least in the novels.
Are you talking about Reith or Comac?
Comac.
Yeah.
Just saying. He's just always right. Like I always agree with his point of view.
Yes, and I mean, do you agree with it at the end? Why don't we just talk about it?
Yeah, that's kind of what we were hinting at. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what did you guys think of the last part of this book? Like the final.
I mean, there was a lot there, but like specifically Comac Vitus, I've loved his trajectory because he's been questioning the Order the whole time. So that immediately puts him in like Qui-Gon Jinn, Ahsoka Tano company, right? Someone who's just like against the grain. And, he listened to that like really great side story about Cantum Size leaving the Order for a while. But he ultimately decides to, Cantum Sai just like hit a pause button and went on a little like, adventure quest thing, vision quest. But like,
bit of a Rumspringa.
Yeah, but thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
But Comac's like, I'm out. I'm out. Here's my lightsaber. I'm out.
And runs. Runs
into the forest.
Bye. Just drops his lightsaber and is just out.
Yeah. I can't deal with it anymore. And so, where do you think that character is going to go, Grant? Like this speaks to what we were talking to you in the last one, right? It's like, well, what happens, if this is the fracturing that's happening, what's Comac going to go do? Is he going to just be a moisture farmer somewhere, or is he going to be still participate in this war?
Yeah, I don't know. That's the question, right? And I feel like that's where we're left at the end of phase 1 is that we have so many Jedi who are dead or missing. We have others who are depowered. We have others who are questioning their existence. And even with the Padawan who we're seeing who have been elevated to knights, because that's also a running theme in these books.
Yeah. They're starting to get elevated.
It's reminding me of the Clone Wars stuff where I don't know if they were actually ready to be elevated, right? Like they're still struggling, which is maybe that and there's some beautiful stuff there about this idea of like, I loved in this book, the idea of like, no, you just feel the emotion and then you let it go. Yeah. Right. You don't repress it. You acknowledge it, you see it, and then you let it go. Like that to me is like one of the most Jedi things that I've never even thought about before. Is it's not about repressing the emotions or saying they're not there. You just acknowledge them, you feel them, and then you let them go. Right. But we see the Jedi struggling with that. Right. So I think we're going to get a large sect. I think I still keep coming back to based on new canon, we have the Lost whatever. Was it the Lost 20 or Lost 12?
7, I think.
Yeah.
I feel like we do this every time, and it's more than anyway. But I feel like we're gonna get more of them in these books, right? I feel like we're gonna get the ones that, because we only have a couple that have actually been named now in canon.
Yeah. We'll see. I don't know. I mean, so this book really brought to light.
It is the Lost 20, just to confirm.
Okay, you are correct.
Yeah.
The Lost
20. I wasn't doing. I just wanted to, mostly not because I wanted to be like, yeah, I'm right, but mostly just because that opens it up to possibly a lot of Jedis from the High Republic era that could make up this 20. Yeah.
That's a lot more. That's a lot more than I had thought. I thought it was 7 from another one, but I will try and remember that. It's important because I think it's gonna, like you said, it's gonna come into play here in the High Republic.
It may also be old versus new canon. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. They may have upped the number in new canon.
Oh, we'll see. Well, yeah. I mean,
I
think
be lost, honestly.
Just like straight up lost. I don't know. We'll see. It's just such a good character. I'm kind of rooting for. So this is my theory.
I like that character. That's like my favorite character.
Yeah. I mean, how cool would he be as like a Sith or a dark side user? Like pretty cool. So this is my thing with the Nihil. The Nihil, like I thought were like a terrorist. Like it was like a 9/11 metaphor or whatever. I no longer think that at all. I think this is like dealing with sociopathy on a grand scale. Mm-hmm. It's like, how do you fight the sociopathy? And it's like 7. It's like they're trying. Like the Eye of the Nihil is trying to get the Jedi to kill first. And as soon as they do that, then they will, as soon as they're broken, like they start being like, no, we need to start going on the offensive and start killing them before they kill us. That's how they destroy the Jedi Order.
Yeah.
And, just with there's only so much horror you can see and how much just, like wanton destruction before you just like, we just need to kill them all. And like, that is, easy for, us to say as listeners, but totally different for Jedi. Like the Jedi have to draw that line. And I don't know, I'm hoping these lost ones are all like band together and there's form, maybe they're not Sith, but they're like another, they're a dark Jedi agency that just starts murdering people.
So
like murdering the Hill.
It's interesting, like reading up on the Lost Jedi, these are just 20, which is, the number seems weird. I that in all of Jedi history, there's only 20, but these are the 20 that have just renounced their Jedi status, right? So it doesn't necessarily mean they fell, right? Like they could have just.
Nope.
So by definition, right, he's got to be one of the Lost 20, unless I guess you can come back to the Order, right? Like we saw with Kantam Sai, but like I think they are pretty much saying that Comac Vetus is one of the Lost 20.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a lock at this point. But, the only other Lost 20 we know of is Count Dooku.
Yeah.
And we know he went to the dark side. So, I mean,
yep.
The Sith are out there somewhere, right? Wait, what's
It's
the
true.
guy's name? What is, did we figure this out? It's, oh my gosh.
Tenebrous.
Tenebrous. Thank you. It's Tenebrous, right?
Is it?
Yeah.
It's like a Bith or something. And he's guys.
What was our other t-shirt with the Bith? Sith Bith.
Sith Bith. That's right.
Yeah, we have a Sith Bith shirt. We have the mullet Obi-Wan shirt.
Yeah.
We have a few shirts.
Yeah, we just know that Darth Plagueis, right, is his. So he is Darth Plagueis's master.
But I think, and they both lived like 100 years, so that would actually put him he's kicking around somewhere, I think.
Yeah, in terms of they're in the new canon, they're very squishy with dates. Like they're not. So I think
right. And actually, Tenebrous is not canon, right? That's
no.
Lucy.
So apparently, if you go to Wikipedia, he is considered canon. So the line of the Sith is now canon. Sure. It is Tenebrous to Plagueis to Sidious. That is canon. But like Darth
Bane is somewhere out there too.
Somewhere as well.
But much earlier, right? It's
much earlier, yeah.
500 years before.
I think so. Yeah, I think something like that. So we know that Darth Plagueis died 32 BBY, like right before. Actually, I think he's technically still around during. Anyway, but like so.
Yeah.
Yes, we don't know how long he lived and how long Plagueis lived, but it makes sense that Tenebrous is probably the one who's out and about.
Yeah.
He may be.
So maybe they don't fall that far, but maybe
Yeah.
they flirt with him, and he's like, "Wait, no, you're not the thing," you know. But it'd be funny if there was a Sith uprising, or awesome if there was a Sith uprising that helped defeat the Nihil.
Well, didn't they talk about like? Isn't there? I feel like they've talked about the dark side, like the Nihil have talked about the dark side, or Marchion has.
Yeah. And you just reminded me that like there hasn't been a Sith for 1,000 years. So if they are there, they're never apparent to the Jedi. Right?
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah, exactly. So, but like I remember in old canon, they would mess around that all the time because you would have a character become aware, but then they would just die right before they could bring it to the attention. So,
right.
You could still technically have them interacting.
Yeah, I mean, they obviously exist. It's just like, you know, they'd have to write it in a certain way, which would be pretty cool. Which would be
also
pretty
the Disney Plus series, The Acolyte, coming, which is set at the tail end of the High Republic, which could explore the birth of the Sith or the rebirth of the Sith. Pretty big one.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
I'm guessing. Yeah, that's probably will have Plagueis in that, I would assume.
Wow. I mean, yeah, it would be, so probably these stories have to dovetail into that story at some point. But we're only this is the beginning of phase 2, right? Or the Fallen Star is the beginning of phase 2. It's the first novel.
No,
it's the end of the first phase.
It's still the end of the phase 1. So
I think that's
will
the
begin in the
next
fall.
big storyline, isn't it? The next big storyline is like, who's this Dark Lord in hiding, and kind of what explores that. And I think the Acolyte could do that, because you might want to get more cinematic, kind of like a real live action sort of point of view for that story. Just because it's a Dark Lord, you know, that's hard to pull.
Yeah, it's hard for me to believe that you have a character in Marchion Ro who's actively plotting to destroy the Jedi. Meanwhile, there's Sith bopping around in the galaxy who aren't tied into this, because one of two things: either they're pulling Marchion Ro's strings, or they would just be like, whoa, how do we get in on this, or make sure it either A, happens according to our plans, or B, is successful, right? Like so. I can't believe we're going to get through this without starting to get some Sith or dark side play.
Right. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome.
It is. Yeah.
Because especially if it's some of our favorite characters that have fallen dark, it's like, well, what do you do then, right? You know, they can't. You know, all the dark side people can't be these like, you know, mustache twirling nemesis. It's like Comac Vetus is awesome. Like if he, you know, he got a red lightsaber and started cutting down like Nihil, it would be kind of great reading, you know. Obviously a moral quandary, but that'll be great. It'll help define who the Jedi are and who the Jedi are going forward.
Yeah, I think like it would be cool if maybe one of the 3 Stellan, Elzar, I mean Stellan no more, but Elzar and Avar, like if one of them went dark, but they're not going that direction. It's going to be one of these characters in the periphery. Comac Vitus is actually the perfect sort of out of your purview sort of character that could do something dark. I just don't think so. He's a good dude. Like
I mean maybe, but I don't know, Grant. I think you might I think you might be onto something there about one of the three stars in the constellation falling. Like, I think that's where that story has to go, where you have to have one betray the 3 or the other 2, and then having to decide to hunt him down or her down, right? Like, I feel like that might be something that they're going to want to do.
Well, you know, you were talking about this, Grant, about, you know, Stellan's no more. But there's a mystery character with Yoda.
Yeah, there
covered in rags.
Kate Cantam. I don't know. Who are you talking about? In rags?
So at the very
Yoda shows up with like a person that's just like distraught and like crestfallen and covered in like bandages. I'm just saying, could that be Stellan Geos?
Could be.
Like, did Yoda have this
He's
other secret
he
mission?
is like
He just-
sacrificing his life to like save everyone in Fallen Star,
right.
and I'm pretty sure he dies. Like,
Yes, I'm just saying though, who's the guy in the wraps? I mean, it could be just some rando that like we find like from Yoda's adventures that he pulls back, but it was pretty mysterious and like, I feel like if anyone could figure that situation out, it would be Yoda. But
Yeah.
I mean, that could lead, maybe he's unfixable or something like that. But
Maybe. Or it's Yaddle.
I think it was a human male, but
I think so.
Yeah.
I was pulling
Could
for
be
Yaddle
Stellan.
at first.
yeah.
yeah, well, one of them needs to go dark because I think if you set up that triumvirate, I think it's only right that maybe one of them represents the dark
Yeah.
element that's about to begin in the galaxy or something.
I think it makes it more interesting. I mean, yes, he's probably dead, but to me, I think it makes it more interesting than if you just have him dead and then one of the other two go dark and then the other one has to fight. Like that's too familiar, right? To have one of a two person go dark and the person having to save them or destroy them. Like I like this idea of like two of them being betrayed by the third, right? Like I think that's interesting.
Yeah.
There's a lot
That
more you
is.
can do with that.
And like Avar and Elzar are now sort of, it seems like they got closer by the end of Fallen Star. Elzar is really just pining for her. Like he's just so in love. But it was interesting in the last book we just talked about, we saw some grumpy Avar.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It was seriously grumpy Avar. And like, I was like, oh, whoa, it's getting to her.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe it's because
Well-
those like levelers have a mal effect on everyone, but
Yeah. And we still have to cover the last run in the High Republic Marvel series, and that does address a bit of what's going on with Avar Chris. So we'll get around to that in the next few weeks, I'm sure. Yeah. The other thing that we talked a bit about with these books is that they do deal with a lot of, which I always enjoy, what it's like to be a Jedi, the moral quandaries, what does balance mean, what does detachment mean, and I think we get a lot of that with the kind of flashback stories with Kantam Sai, as well as their connection to their Padawan Lula, right? Who are both are all going through. Both of them are going through very similar things, right? This idea of feeling an attachment to others, and I love what we see of Yoda in these flashbacks. Yeah, it's wonderful.
Right, because Lula trained under Yoda.
Yes, but was
on Starhopper
technically
for a long time.
yeah.
wait, but no, who's Lula's master?
Kantam.
Was it Com?
Kantam Sai.
Kantam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
but Lula was on that
Lula
ship.
had a lot of like tutelage.
Right.
Yoda.
Yeah.
That's why it was hilarious because she didn't explain her situation to Kantam, and she was like, he's not going to understand, blah, 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 blah. And then Kantam like then goes on and tells this anecdote, and it's like exactly analogous to what Lula's going through. It like would have been the perfect, like no one actually knows better than he what she's going through. And I thought that was kind of a funny twist there. But it was interesting. He just like joined the circus and just like went on this sexcapade with, his boyfriend and like, whatever, got a bunch of random jobs, was a bartender for a while. I don't know. It's pretty cool that, they did this. And then like he was waiting for the call. Grant, I know you're the biggest Yoda fan of all of us, as much as we'd probably like to compete with you on that. What do you think of the Yoda in this book?
Perfect. I think Daniel José Older writes Yoda as good as anyone. The quotes were like outstanding. The wind quote, like there's just there were so many good Yoda quotes in here that I'm just astounded by. And he's used with restraint. Like he's not used throughout the story. He's not a main fixture.
No.
Yeah, it's just a beautiful sort of usage, I thought, of Yoda.
It's a lot of them just remembering his anecdotes
and pearls of wisdom.
Yeah, his pearls, his axioms and proverbs and stuff are incredible.
Sorry, what were you going to say, Adam? I cut you off there, but
no, I don't think so.
So they Yeah, it's just great. And they're talking about it, and like you said, Grant, I think he just really captured Yoda's voice perfectly. And it was like, when you're like, your heart gets warm because you're like, oh, Yoda. Like,
yeah, that's a quote. That's perfect. Yoda quote.
Yeah. Yas. So there's a lot of that. There's poor Reeth. They gave like Reeth like a paragraph where he's in love. Like Reeth is just like, he said Reeth had given up trying to not have crushes, opting instead to neutralize the whole situation by having all the crushes.
All the crushes. Yeah.
All the crushes.
Yeah, surely there was an old Jedi saying about that, or maybe there was an old Jedi saying, if not, he'd make it one.
Yeah, I like how he makes up Jedi sayings, but like, yeah, I can't remember the one, but it's what is it that the Jedi or a Jedi Padawan plans and the Force laughs or something like that, which is Jedi plan, which is based on a human aphorism, which I always think is pretty good. Is man plans and God laughs, but it's a great character, and Daniel José Older just wrote Reeth and Ram so well. And their camaraderie and their back and forth is every time there was a scene with the two of them talking, I was fully engaged.
So much fun.
Yeah.
I think, do we have a dyad on our hands with Zine and Lula?
Maybe.
Because they kind of force Skype a little bit in this book. And they're like, they just like meditate together and know each other's thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we have like an early dyad.
I think that's being explored in the comics too, their relationship.
Yeah. So there was definitely overlap with their relationship here and them trying to explain each other's feelings to each other, but also as young teenagers trying to understand the feelings themselves, which I never bothered to do. I was just like, let's go. But, yeah, they're like, what is it? Yeah. Yeah.
The dyad. I could get that from them. Yeah, it's pretty strong, that connection.
Definitely.
Yeah, I can see that. Zine also had a connection with Crix that felt dyad-esque, because it was a lot of parallel action.
Yeah, it was weird. It sort of passed off.
Thinking about him. Yeah, and then it went to Lula. Yeah,
and then immediately there. Zine is fascinating to me because it feels a little cruel. That they keep
she's like a virgin. She's like a virgin in the Force, basically.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they keep her around, but they don't train her officially.
Right.
It's like, what is this? And she's like, it's like, oh, get close to all these people, and then we're gonna kick you out eventually, though.
Yeah, it's odd. I don't know what the end plan is for that character. Like, even from the Jedi's perspective, like, just train her or don't. But I think doing this halfway thing is not a good plan.
Yeah.
No.
There's some modern team dynamics here. Fezonk, right? There's a
Fezonk, yeah.
Oh yeah, Fezonk. Oh man, yeah. I'm trying to see if I can pull some. Yeah, here we go. I don't know. Here's one thing, and sometimes we must strike first, Cantum. We all celebrated after Quansi when we heard about how your Padawan restrained Zine's hand and stopped her from killing Crix. But given all that's happened since, can we really say that was the right thing? How many lives would have been saved, if we had just killed people? Like, that was from Comac.
Right.
It's like, what if he just becomes a rogue murderer?
Yeah.
Of just the bad guys.
Yeah. It might just
almost
be
like
a vigilante. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of like Batman Joker dynamic going on in these books. It's just you're gonna let the chaos persist. Like, if you let these people live, they're just going to commit more atrocities, and it's just gonna. I don't know. It just seems. I don't know. Comac is onto something, but at the same time, it's like it's not the way, and the Jedi are being driven to their wits' end.
Yeah, it's definitely a very dark time for the Jedi. It's gonna be interesting where we find them when this picks back up. That's the other thing I'm wondering is this is just a general question is we talked about where they be going next. My question is, when might they be going next? Meaning, is the next part of this going to take up, like, fully following this, or are we going to jump forward in time? Is there a chance we might have a 5-10 year time jump?
Well, what makes you think that?
Or for the next phase? I mean, the next wave or whatever?
Yeah, I think they're calling them phases because we have 200 years to cover. Not that we have to cover them all in the books. We're 200 years you can cover. Let's put it that way. We also know that the Acolyte series is taking place towards the tail end. So they have a lot of room to play with. Now you can slow play it and tell these stories back to back to back to back to back and back. Or do you want to fast forward these characters like you do in the Star Wars movies? 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, that maybe now we're at a point where they're just living in a world where the Nihil are in a world.
We live in society.
Where Nihil attacks are popping up, right? That there's this slow play attrition type of war, like this Cold War even. Or does it take place immediately after? I don't know. Part of me wants this time jump, which would be interesting where these characters are, especially with the younger characters, right? Like to see where Ram is now 5 years from now. Is he a Jedi Knight?
Right, and what has happened to them? Yeah, I mean the younger generation is kind of there's a lot of older ones, and actually the oldest ones like Porter Engle are some of the most interesting. But like the strongest Jedi seem to be this younger group, Vernestra Rowe, who can she can essentially like travel through hyperspace with her mind, and then she can do all these really advanced hard things to do, like astral project and really really tough things. Imri Kantara seems like OP in a very empathetic way. Burryaga was like that ? Maybe Burryaga's still there, but Reith Silas is a ringer. Like he's book smart, and he just is like, oops, I'm also a great swordsman. Swordsman as well.
He's shown a pull to the dark side though, hasn't he? A little bit.
Reith? No, Reith is a bookworm. He's just like puppy dog love for all the ladies in the galaxy.
Yeah. Maybe it was Imri. I forget. It was either Reith or Imri.
Imri did. Imri did early
in that first book. In that first book when he lost his master, and then I think and then we got like Ram, who's somewhat new, right? Like Ram, I think showed up in the second phase series of books.
Yeah, he was on Valo, I think.
He was on Valo, but he had that race. He was in that race to Crash Point, so he was in the junior novel the first time we met him. But like he has that really interesting force ability, where basically his force ability centers around engineering, right? So that could be a really strong character for developing things for the Jedi.
Yeah, there's a super team in the making there.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be cool.
But also the Death Star. I mean, like the super weapon stuff, like that story is a kind of a kind of underarching story that goes through the entire vein of Star Wars, the history of Star Wars. And I gotta imagine, like in the visual dictionary for Rise of Skywalker, they talk about the super weapon plans being thought up by Darth Tanis or something for around the Scourge of Malachor. And I think in Rebels we see that planet and everyone's like frozen, like the leveler, how it turns people to petrified, husks basically.
Yeah.
Are we looking at super weapon plotting happening anytime soon in these books, or no?
I don't know.
Every time they mention kyber crystal like manipulation, I'm like, oh no.
Yeah. I mean, it's a Star Wars, so probably, but maybe we could not do that for once.
Yeah. Right. I mean, yeah, maybe the super weapons are a modern development relatively, and like that, they're kind of the first that do it there.
Well, was it Palpatine's idea like from the start, or was someone else exploring the super weapon technology before Palpatine?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Maybe people who deal with path engines and things like that.
Yeah,
maybe. I mean, the path engines, that's how you like send a blast through hyperspace, right? That's what Starkiller was, which was not described very well to me in the movies, but like, yeah, it sends a blast through hyperspace.
Right.
So I thought it would have been cool if they actually like had to plant like crystalline structures that actually refracted the beam. Like, like it just splits in a weird way. I was just like, it'd be cool if there was like a more elaborate thing here.
Yeah, I would use reflectors or whatever, but it's like they're bombing another solar system from another solar system. It's like
it was insane.
Yeah. I feel like there was another answer there. Also, we lost Ilum, which is like, bummed. I played,
what a bummer, by the way, that Starka is Ilum. Like Ilum was
was Ilum. Yeah, well, I guess it's still alive, right? It the base exploded, but Ilum's still there, right?
I guess the planet didn't, right? The planet's still out there.
You're right.
That's cool. All right, well, that makes you feel better.
Oh yeah, maybe you have Rey and her new Jedi Academy going there for field trips.
That idea is way too cool.
That would be great. And they start like going.
Kind of chilly there, though. I don't know if you'd want to build your temple there. Scarif. Why not? Do you know what? If you want your Jedi to be happy and no one fall to the dark side, get them on Scarif. Let's just train.
Bruh, like, why are we gonna do all this work? We're just circling today, bruh. I mean that's a Mel place to learn, but Scarif is gone, right?
No, I don't think they didn't do the full planet destruction, right? Because that's how they justify.
Didn't we see in the comics though, like the cult of the central Isopter? I mean, it's like 3/4 of a planet, which doesn't really make a planet.
I guess I think Jedha is much worse.
Oh, I'm thinking of Jedha. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jedha gets like glass there, just totally
fractured,
explodes. Yeah, it's wild.
I did find an interesting thing. So, remember the little nursery rhyme, the terrifying nursery rhyme?
Yeah.
What was that from? Was that
from the Shadows?
It was from the Trail of Shadows miniseries comic on from Marvel. Yeah.
Right. So that's what the mysterious person in rags is singing.
Oh, interesting.
While they're sitting there. So that's why I was like, Stellan Geos?
Right, because he was obsessed with that in that series.
Right.
Ooh, well done, Ben.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's my only evidence that it could be him.
But that's something.
I mean, it could be, allegedly that well, not allegedly, but they said that nursery rhyme is talking about a boogeyman, and the boogeyman is the leveler. Like, so it could be other people. And it wasn't just Stellan that was humming that nursery rhyme. I don't know if it was Urquide or I don't know what's that guy, Emmerich, or if it's another person, but there was someone else humming it as well. So
yeah, it was the investigator, the Jedi investigator. But I feel like, that's such a but that's so interesting, Ben. That like, we've only seen two people. We know one who is maybe dead. Like that seems
I think
pretty
you're right.
good.
Gotta be.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. The figure never showed their face, never spoke to anyone, just sang a little sad ditty over and over again in a raspy whisper. They'll do what they can. They'll do what they must. And then all of us, they finish it off there too, for the dark, like overhanging thing there. Sorry, I'm steamrolling all of
No, that's perfect.
No, I like this. I like this conspiracy theory.
Anything else y'all wanted to talk about? Ram Jamran just being awesome.
Ram Jamran is the best. Love that character.
Yeah.
There was one line that he said, and he was just like, "Let's go look at starships."
Yep. Yeah.
Yep. And I was like saying,
I love how enthusiastic he is about so many things, and him learning sarcasm.
Yeah.
The book is great.
Comic timing.
Yeah. No, it's I gotta say, I really enjoy the kind of main novel run, but those are like, they can be long and really joyless, but not in a bad way, right? Like that's because those stories, but like,
Fallen Star hurt.
It hurt. It was a tough.
That's why when you're saying this is Stellan, I'm like pretty sure they spend like 4 chapters being like, and Stellan died heroically to like save transport.
Yeah, you're right.
Right. But I really think these young adult novels really are balanced that out a little bit, where they're still dealing with dark themes and all these dark things, but there are those moments of levity and comedy, and you deal more with the relationships and the good parts of relationships, right? Like I'm enjoying them quite a bit. It's my long-winded way of saying if you're not reading them and you have any interest, they're definitely worth reading.
Definitely. All right, I've got another random thing to talk about with this book. So finally, the Jedi are carrying gas masks.
Yeah.
Like
right?
Finally, they're like, oh, there's gas, put it on. I'm like, oh, for gosh sake. There's even a point where I wrote, I'm like, why haven't they gassed them yet? And then like the next scene, they gassed the Nihil gassed the location or the battlefield or whatever they were on.
Yeah.
And they brought them out. But how cool would it be if there was like a generation of Jedi that wore helmets, like cool helmets?
Yeah. Maybe we do get that from now, right? Maybe that's
right.
That's kind of this generation that's growing up with the Nihil, or just
Well, don't like the guards, like the Sentinel guards, wear like helmets?
They do.
Yep,
they do. So it's like, but like,
where are those guys in the battlefield? Like, I mean, like maybe there should be diplomat Jedi, and then there are ones that handle like the violence, and they're like wear helmets, and they're very like
guarding the temples, right?
Yeah, right. They're guarding the temples, but I think from the previous book, from Justina's book, it was they had one of those. Like they had it was like Lissa, I think was her name, was a Jedi, and she just like kept track of all the records from Dalna, and they went to go kill, and she's like, I didn't bring my lights. Like she hates to fight with a lightsaber,
right?
And, like she had to go like fend off some or scare some ice crocs or ice alligators or whatever,
right.
Ice gators. And she was like, I don't want to, and like she's kind of one of the ones I would sort of, I guess, not a defender of the tomes, but like still is that kind of Jedi. But I just thought it would be kind of cool if they design helmets, because then it would really bring that sort of like Knights of the Round Table feel to the High Republic.
Yeah. I'd be down for that for sure. Because you're right, because there's that scene where they have them, and I can't remember who's yelling it, but it might be Cantam or Cormac, but they're just like, either put on your gas mask or take them from fallen Nihil. Like I love that line. I'm just like,
yeah. Everyone knows, and
Wasn't there a second great hyperspace war that's like happened in the old legends?
Oh yeah.
After this time, it was not the first one; it was the second one.
I think so. I think there was one that was more.
It was something for like
current,
to take part in that was like sounded pretty cool. Wondering if the path engines could lead to a recanonization of sort of like that.
Yeah.
Let's see.
There's been a bunch of name drops of the Jedha, the War of Jedha or the Battle of Jedha. The past couple of stories we've seen, they've mentioned that, so they are starting to flesh out some.
And like, isn't there like,
stuff.
aren't there comments about the Jedi like wrongfully spilling blood or like killing people? Like, there's something about like some stories like the Dalnians or something, and like their past, like the Jedi fought them or something.
Yeah, no, that was from the Dalna book.
Yeah.
And Mission to Destruction or Mission to Disaster or whatever.
Yeah.
Mission to Disaster. And they don't talk about it. But then, Harmony's like, well, the Jedi didn't do anything wrong. It was just the fact they were here and then a bad thing happened. But they, it's been struck from the records, whatever happened there. But ultimately the population blames the Jedi, which is a bar. I really liked Dalna, actually. Like I had an attachment to that planet. It sounded like Italy, but like Spain. It was all vineyards. And it was like very small, and I was like, I would like to hole up on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you mean.
Tiny little planet. You could just like.
I thought the shipyards of Corellia would be the one for you, but vineyards are. Come on, you can't beat them,
dude. No, I want an old stone like Jedi temple with vineyards. That's what I'm talking about, and a Jedi
like that. We're gonna do our favorite getaway world right now, because like I do like the new world that Luke's temple's on, like that bamboo kind of world. I like
Space Japan.
That's a chill spot.
Yeah. So I missed all of this because I was Googling Second Great Hyperspace War.
Yeah.
and I fell down the internet hole.
Was it a Legends hole? Those are
It is
endless.
it is a fan fiction hole
Oh,
because
it's
I did
fanfic?
I did
Oh.
not know that on Wikipedia there's a fan fiction timeline
Whoa.
thing. So apparently the second Great Hyperspace War took place 190 years after the Battle of Yavin, and its combatants are the Darth Charon Sith Empire, the Dark Jedi Order, the New Jedi Order, the Yuuzhan Vong, and the commanders are Mal Skywalker and Zane Skywalker.
Okay.
Oh, that's fanfic.
Alrighty.
It's
What's the thing that Qui-Gon takes part in the
I don't know. My brain
Dark
is
Horse comics?
I'm lost now forever. My brain is fried after reading some of this stuff. Sorry. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a rabbit hole you don't want to slip and fall down. That's
Yeah, I mean, it could be wild, but there's no way up. You'll never find the surface if you
No.
go into that.
It just took me forever to figure out like what's happening. I know I still haven't finished the old EU, but I'm like, I'm sure there wasn't a Mal or Zane Skywalker.
Right.
or the hyperspace tracking could be something that they get from the Path Engine research or whatever. But I don't know, man. The leveler, how far are we on that at this point? We still don't have a great idea of what the leveler is.
I mean, it's a beast that like messes with force mines. Yeah. Like if you use the force with it. I mean, yeah, I don't know, but it comes from somewhere. It could be like part ghost or some sort of eel spirit energy or something that like a witch or something helped create from a billion from a millennia ago or whatever. There we do get some more missing or presumed dead announcements in this book that are kind of new. Based off of Trail of Shadows, we saw Master Torben stripped to his like G-string and go fight
right
like the leveler
G-string
for some reason.
Excuse me.
But they said the first reports on the scene said about it was Lula, so Lula could be gone. Farzala, sorry Grant, I know he's your guy. No, Farzala.
I think everyone. I think they're all good. I think because I think Zine mentioned even like she would have felt Lula's absence, right? And I think if Lula's not gone, the rest of them aren't gone. I think we're gonna follow their adventures off of Starlight Beacon.
Okay. I like that you're hopeful. I'm not. Based off of Fallen Star, I'm like, well, they're dead. They haven't shown any resilience or they haven't learned from anything they've seen. They're not communicating. No one's talking about this together. They're not working. They're just dying. It's all that happened in Fallen Star. And it's like, feels like, I'm there's real stakes here. I don't know what's going on. So I'm just assuming they're going to be gone. I mean, Buryaga Agabury, like there's real cliffhangers to the end of phase 1 here.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, there could be so many Dead Jedi. I almost said Dead Jedi or not, right? Like I like the idea that we're only getting these. We haven't gotten like an official tally. We're just getting these through like their loved ones and colleagues. And so all of them are like, nope, there's no way. This person's still alive. And like, they can't all have made it. Right. Like some of them have to be gone.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
We'll see. All right.
Hold on. I have an answer to Grant's question about the second Great Hyperspace War.
Right.
Which is the Stark Hyperspace War.
Yes.
Which took place 44.
Tony Stark?
Apparently, I don't know. Like, that's my same thought when I read that. But it's that is 44 years BBY, Obi-Wan Kenobi. It was right before the Clone Wars. Not right before, but it was a little bit before. So you're right. Like, this could be. And the Stark Hyperspace War is considered canon, though. It is, though all those stories aren't got wiped out, but that has gotten mentioned. And a couple of things are considered canon. So they could be playing around with some of that in the Acolyte series. Yeah. Because that would be the very end of the High Republic.
I mean, that would make sense as like a crescendo to the path engines, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. Anything else y'all want to talk about from this book? We haven't really talked much about Crash or Zine becoming a starlet, which is actually pretty cool.
Oh, the pop star stuff.
Yeah. That's star stuff. We haven't done Crash justice. She was a fantastic
what a cool character.
Yeah. I mean, we started with her, but I think.
Yeah. Yeah, we did. But yeah, she was actually just a great leader and a fun character to sort of. She was plucky. She's a plucky little teen.
Plucky, perfect word.
Right. Whole thing. All right, then I guess I'm gonna end this with the last quote of the book from Yoda. Let's do that. Difficult the way forward will be, but there is a way. There is always a way, and young Reith has learned. Make that way ourselves we must, for it has not been made yet. To do this, though, to forge our path to the future, guided by the secrets of the past, we will be. Guided by the secrets of the past, we will be. I love that. That sounds like a way forward, and also a way to learn stuff about previous wars and stuff, and open up new things.
True. Cannot wait to see where they're going with this.
That's what Luke does, right? Is he goes backwards in the Jedi history. You guys try from the very first Jedi to try to understand what their findings on the Force. And we get to the cave in the Last Jedi, we do see that eerie sort of symbol of the Jedi meditating with the split kind of like
yin yang.
Yin yang,
Yin yang.
Yeah. There's something to that. I think it's the understanding of the dark side is in you and just navigating it, like Yoda is doing for so many Padawans and younglings, is helping them, guiding them. Yeah,
it'll be really cool if Yoda starts to play a more prominent role in these stories now, because if it's going to be written like Daniel José Older wrote this, I'm all in. It's going to be
me too. Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Next week we're gonna finish up phase 1 of the High Republic. We're gonna do the this latest arc of the High Republic,
and we'll do the Eye of the Storm
and Eye of the Storm.
Eye of the Storm,
yeah. It's just a little two banger. So then we'll be caught up with the High Republic. I hope you all love the High Republic, or you just want to learn about it. It's pretty fun. It's pretty fun stuff. I'm hoping you're all enjoying, listening to this, even if you're not reading the media. It's fun to go through. It's fun to read.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to take this on for our listeners.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it is fun for sure.
Exactly. So we'll do that, and then if there's any more news, we'll go through that. I'm sure people are going to be talking about Obi-Wan more. And
High Republic's a great era just to learn about, because I think there's speculated that there might be TV shows, there might be Disney Plus series in the works. Then the Ubisoft game is also speculated to be High Republic era. It's a cool era to just familiarize yourself with, because a lot could be coming in that timeline.
Absolutely. All right, everyone. Thanks very much for listening. We greatly appreciate it. And we'll talk to you next week. May the Force be with you.
This is Grex Kondak signing off. For the latest breaking news, follow @CoreWorldNews on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you and good night.
Remember, the Force will be with you always.